In professional wrestling, a single moment can set off a chain reaction, a ripple that transforms the landscape entirely. When Hangman Page lost the AEW World Championship to CM Punk at Double or Nothing 2022, it didn't just mark the end of a title reign. It ignited a fire that would eventually lead Jon Moxley down a violent path. Adam Page, AEW's Millennial Cowboy, had carried the company's heart and soul through a deeply personal journey. As champion, Page was portrayed as a hero with internal struggles, someone who carried the weight of AEW's identity and ideals. But CM Punk's character was layered. While cheered by fans, there were hints of arrogance and manipulation. In his mind, Hangman wasn't just defending his title, he was protecting AEW from what he saw as a threat to its soul.
I will be defending all elite wrestling from you.
Because I know what kind of place this could become with him at the top.
At Double or Nothing 2022, the finish saw Page in position to use the AEW World title belt as a weapon, something completely against his principles. In that moment of doubt, he hesitated, staying true to his values, but he lost everything. By losing to Punk, Page failed in his own eyes to protect AEW. This loss kicked off a dark period for his character, and AEW lost its hero. Enter Jon Moxley, the purveyor of violence. Moxley was a force of nature, a leader in AEW. Every time AEW's identity was tested, Jon Moxley was called. When Punk won the title, the company lost direction. Jon Moxley watched. He saw the ideals AEW was founded on being buried under egos and politics. Moxley also identified Punk's chameleon-like character.
CM Punk, fragile ego, fragile body, weak mind, weak spirit.
Moxley established himself as AEW's true constant. He beat Punk in a shocking squash. However, Punk was granted an instant rematch, not something AEW always does, and this time, Moxley lost. But in this moment, Punk was exposed, and so was AEW. Punk was suspended, stripped of the title, and ultimately exiled, leaving AEW more fractured than ever. Once again, Moxley stood at the center of a broken company, holding it together through sheer grit and bloodshed, but he couldn't do it alone. Led by William Regal, Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, a brotherhood of fighters officially called the Blackpool Combat Club. No catchphrases, no soft edges, just blood, sweat, and submission holds, formed out of necessity to help maintain balance in AEW. Without Hangman losing to Punk, there's no vacuum in AEW, no identity crisis, no need for Moxley to step back into the spotlight. But because of that loss, Moxley rose, not just as a champion, but as a leader of a movement. Over time, even the Blackpool Combat Club started to crack. Bryan Danielson fought for the love of wrestling. This conflicted with Moxley. Moxley became increasingly cynical. To him, AEW was falling apart, and Bryan Danielson's idealism was starting to look like weakness. Danielson showed respect to opponents, often shaking hands, while Moxley wanted to crush them and reclaim AEW's soul. When Moxley finally turned on Bryan, it wasn't because of betrayal in the classic wrestling sense. It was because, in his words, "You don't bleed this anymore. You wrestle." Moxley saw Danielson's respect for tradition as a liability. In Moxley's mind, saving AEW meant embracing war, and this shift in ideology birthed the Death Riders. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, a phrase that rings true. Moxley, once a rallying force for AEW, was now its dictator. Moxley defeated Danielson, recaptured the AEW World Championship. This time, however, Moxley was going to protect it by any means necessary. Many tried, but they all failed. Once again, AEW needed a hero. Adam Page's journey back to prominence began in earnest after a series of personal and professional setbacks. It was Hangman's loss in 2024 Owen Hart tournament, leading to Bryan Danielson capturing the AEW Championship, causing the final rift between Moxley and Danielson. Page's external battles with Swerve Strickland displayed his mental struggles. It was his confrontation with Christopher Daniels, his mentor, that led to Hangman coming to terms with himself, finally able to come out of the darkness and move beyond his failure. Hangman had finally found himself again. The poetic symmetry. 3 years after his failure, at the same event, Double or Nothing, Page defeated Will Ospreay. A year after losing the same tournament, symbolized the resurgence of Hangman as a hero of AEW. Now Hangman has a chance, once again, to save AEW from the manifestation of his failure. Jon Moxley.